Welcome to Perfect Contracting Success Stories, where we transform a 100-year-old Coke Works just south of Sydney. The Corrimal Coke Works once stood as a towering beacon of industry since the early 20th century. As principal contractor, the Perfect Contracting team are on site, making preparations for demolition.
Just around the time they were closing, it was decided they needed someone to just keep an eye on the site, take down any rope ladders that intruders might have erected, and keep an eye on the property from the owner's perspective.
We want to create a good, nice, secure site. We don't want, equipment to be damaged or anyone going in doing the wrong thing. So really more for their safety, because there's structures that are not stable.
The site was more than just a facility, it was pivotal in the production of coke, a crucial material for steel making that profoundly influenced both the Australian and international landscapes.
Now that's raw coal as it comes out of the ground, and when it's been burned for 2 or 3 days in that low oxygen environment, it turns into this stuff called coke. The finished product would make its way on that large conveyor you see up above, and it would find its way into a couple of hoppers in this greenhouse. Many of the people who live in the Corrimal area built their houses on the back of working at the Coke Works over the last 100 years.
If you drive through Corrimal or Wollongong, even on the highway, you can actually see the chimney stacks. It's part of their skyline, and over the years it becomes who they are.
The Illawarra Coke Company is Australia's largest producer of high-quality metallurgical coke.
2008 financial crisis, the global demand for coke just plummeted. Just no longer became viable to make it in Australia and send it overseas.
Developer Legacy Property hosting a community consultation session to hear from those directly affected.
They said, listen, we understand you guys have a job to do, and we take that very seriously because we understand how important it is for a major stakeholder, a neighbour.
With the development of new structures, the preservation of heritage elements is paramount.
Their concern, number one concern, isn't the structures that are going, structures that are staying. When we put in our methodology, we showed the client that we paid the most attention to all the heritage components. A lot of the contractors came in cheaper than us. Some of the towers, they just wanted to drop, although it was very close to the heritage component, but it's not the best way to do it for this job site. Any major vibration, we knew we had to come here with our expertise and show them that we've paid attention to all the detail, show them that their concern is our concern.
Each element needs to be handled with the utmost respect.
It's really hard to find this brick, so we had to carefully drop them down, stack them and keep them. Can you see the numbers? Number 45, the heritage consultant came and said it's of heritage significance. That brick area, that stays, and very carefully separate those two sections and get rid of this. So that goes up 5 levels, and each level there's like hoppers, there's tanks. It's very heavy.
We progressed on this job very carefully. We've got many subcontractors working here, archaeologists, temporary work engineers, boiler makers, carpenters, drainage plumbers. We developed very strict and informative induction process for our employees, but also all the visitors.
Given the scale of the Corrimal Coke Works, Perfect Contracting committed multiple teams to carry out the works.
We have the licenses, we've got the expertise, we've got the personnel, the supervisors, the decon units, everything needed as per the standards that we have to abide by.
Designs and manufacturing of propping, steelwork, grinded coal tar, survey been taken, investigations been done, markup plans.
And we had to make sure all the permits, council consultations, all the stakeholders were happy with everything that we had on site.
Weekly safety inspections are carried out to ensure strict compliance with all safety regulations.
I take photos of all of the action items just to show that they've been rectified, and I put them into a report.
We developed a plan of moving crews between 7 different work areas. So when we found something in one area, we could navigate the crew to the new area, earning time to deal with the problem for the previous area.
Risk assessed each of these hazards. They were identified. We took action on it before coming across the physical hazards on site.
Risk assessment and developing the best methodology is vital to carry out works on the site.
This methodology was also approved by a third-party engineer.
Perfect Contracting also liaised with ecologists and consultants to ensure there was no disturbance to the flora and fauna.
We kept exclusion zones before we proceeded with the demolition works. Vibration monitoring was a very important component. For example, the C1 coke oven, powerhouse wall, and the steel stack to preserve this structure.
The powerhouse building just there, those hoppers themselves, about 400 tonne. That was originally in it.
And we managed to remove them safely. Dust monitors around the site and heavy dust suppression by having the motor fog on, by having the water cut running all the time. So yeah, we did our part and it worked.
When we say we want to get it done on time, it's a major component of what we do. We've got enough resources, enough machinery, enough planning to make sure that no matter what happens, we'll deliver on time.
During the job, we had a major flood event.
Floods hit the New South Wales Illawarra coast.
Our boys came back on weekend and had the local community clean up the flood damage, which then earned a lot of respect from local community. We love to go to a place where we found it unusable and we returned it to the client totally usable and totally cleaned up. We have delivered this project way before its due date.
And with zero safety incidents,
we managed to retain all of the heritage components of the project thanks to our engineering team who developed methodologies of working around those structures safely without disturbing them.
It's very rewarding when I drive on the streets and I can point out and say, hey, I was part of that.
Next time on Perfect Contracting Success Stories. Innovation meets precision.
People underestimate the work that goes into heavy demolition.
As we tackle 3 of the toughest sites in the Inner West. With demolition and deconstruction for the Sydney Metro project.